Warning, this episode of TsM Talk contains some explicit language, opinions, and Duncan. Though we love him, he can get carried away. Enjoy the show, guys. Hello everyone, it's Hicks here from TGN and TsM, and welcome to the 4th episode of TsM Talk. Today I have Nikki and Duncan here to join me in the discussion of the new Razer Blade gaming laptop, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and the newly released zombie game, Dead Island. So let's move right on into the first discussion, which was going to be the Razer Blade gaming laptop. Now, in the press conference at PAX 2011, Mean, who is the CEO of Razer, was trying to just let the audience know that innovation is their main goal. They want to try and keep improving PC gaming and creating new ideas to make it not as stale as what it has been for quite a few years. Gaming in general, he stated that, when PC gaming first came about, it was expensive to do. It cost a lot of money to build a rig. Processing places like AMD and Intel, it cost a lot of money to pick up their processors. RAM was expensive, and now he's saying it's just they outsource to manufacturing plants and they just throw out new processors every year, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper to build, but no innovation. It's just the same thing. It's just being improved little by little, and they're just mass producing things instead of taking the time, spending that extra, let's say, couple $1 million to create something greater that'll last a couple of years. That's what Razer's goal as a company is to do, is to make things last longer, but make big steps in innovation. If you take their gaming mice, they were the first person to create a gaming mouse that had high DPIs, really sensitive to your fingertips, so things responded very fast. And then they came out with keyboards and headsets that are, keyboards are fingertip sensitive. You can have the sensitivity on the keyboards be changed. They've got now binded keys everywhere. And with the newest thing they've created is the Razer Blade, which is a real gaming laptop. And what do I mean by that, and what he means, is that it takes the new innovations, like keeping it thin, keeping it portable and lightweight, which other gaming laptops don't do. If you look at companies like Falcon Northwest, Alienware, Asus, they have what's called gaming laptops, but they're over 3 inches thick. They weigh up to 15 pounds. I mean, that to me is not portable at all. And seeing that they've made this new gaming laptop that is portable, it's lightweight, the Razer Blade, it's very cool. And looking at their specs, they've got under an inch thick, and I think he said in his conference, it's only 7.5 pounds with the battery included. So, I mean, you guys can take it, any of you guys can take it on and talk about what you guys think about the Razer Blade.
Well, I look at it from an objective standpoint. First thing I noticed is that they didn't talk about the battery life, which is something that I was looking for. But other than that, I was pretty surprised at what they had done with the thinness is what got me, because I've got an Asus G73, and that's my primary gaming, because I don't really have enough room in my room to set up a large gaming rig, and I have to lug this freaking thing around whenever, I could beat the shit out of somebody with this, and it's unsightly. It works great. It does what I want it to do. It plays all the new games and everything, but other than that, it's more like an actual gaming desktop than anything else that I can't upgrade except for the RAM.
So, I mean, what are the differences comparable to like a regular laptop? Like, what's the differences?
Well, what I saw is, of course, it's designed outright for gaming. It's 17-inch screen. I don't really look at, for gaming laptops and stuff like that, especially if you're going to use them at home. Screen is not a big issue for me because most people run it on a monitor or a TV anyway. What I saw is they also had, the macro keys. Even though I'm not a big RPG player, I would like the convenience of being able to set spells to different keys that I have and everything like that, and I can't really do that with my G73. Also, I like the fact that it's definitely not as unsightly, because when I pull out that G73 It's kind of a eye getter because it basically looks like a huge stealth jet that I'm trying to pay my bills on.
Well, what I like about the Razer's new laptop is there's no trackpad, as you would normally see on laptops. It's not in the front center. It's over where the numpad would be. And instead of it being buttons, it's actually a touch screen. And then it can also be converted into the HUD for whatever game you're playing. Right now, they've only shown Battlefield 3 and World of Warcraft, I believe, on it. And it looks pretty good, actually.
I like that idea. I didn't see anything because I had watched maybe about 20 minutes of it, but the trackpad being on the right side, that's awesome because that's normally where you'd have because I use a mouse like most people probably do with their gaming laptops attached to the side. It's some cheapo HP mouse that I picked up for $15 when I was poor. The fact that it's on the right, and that way I can keep both hands on the laptop instead of constantly having to go to the mouse to type anything in-game or anything like that. It'll save me those precious few seconds that usually matter in a video game when someone comes up and freaking kills me for the 20th time.
Well, yeah, like the thing they were trying to show is the trackpad is the LCD screen. So there's two modes with that trackpad. There's the trackpad mode, and then there's the dual or the second screen mode where, let's say you're in WoW or you're playing Portal with your gaming mouse or something, and you're like, man, I can't get past this, the section of the map. And I don't want to tab out of the game to go to YouTube and look for the walkthrough. So on this LCD screen, you can actually bind, let's say, a YouTube symbol to the LED or the LCD screen or the LCD button above the trackpad. You can click it, and it brings up YouTube on that little LCD screen, and you can watch the walkthrough right then and there while still in game and not even have to tab out. And, that's awesome. You can look at everything on that little LCD screen without even tabbing out and even having to hardly even move your mouse at all. And that's awesome. And being able to switch between those modes while in game is even cooler. And they even promise that you can play FPS games now with the trackpad because of all the algorithms and the software they've really put into the trackpad and the LCD screen. It's going to act like a mouse in a sense.
Well, also, what'd be really cool to see is if because it's from what it sounds like, you're saying the trackpad / LCD screen will be somewhat like a smartphone or something like that. I was wondering if since it might not be like running on it might be running on something separate, so they actually have applications for it. So you can get the community involved and develop third party proprietary software to unlock the potential of that, because the products is only as good as the community that supports it.
Also, well, if you watch the conference all the way through, the lead engineer of the actual pad itself said that you can get these applications from us. So him saying that automatically told me that you're going to be able to get applications. They're going to be applications that you get from Razer themselves that install directly onto that setup on the right side.
Okay, the only problem with that is it creates kind of like a monopoly. It's kind of like iPhone, where you can only get apps for your iPhone from the Apple Store. And then people jailbreak their phone so that they could do more with it instead of just getting apps from the Apple Store. So that sets up another problem. Like, are people going to try to change the laptop to where they can get extra things, not only from Razer?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, if they allow for like the third party, like I was saying, third party, then I'd definitely be on board with maybe looking at this as a future purchase.
Well, I mean, the whole thing you wanted to like give us is, hey, we're taking this extra step. We're not gonna fiddle around like Alienware and Falcon Northwest when you go and when you go get a gaming laptop from one of these sites, you have options. I can put 4 gigs instead of 8 gigs. I can put a shitty-ass video card in there instead of a really good one. And I can, change my processor. They're saying no to that. They're saying, here's our laptop. It's going to have 8 gigs of RAM. It's going to have a Core i7 at 2.8 gigahertz. It's going to have a 720 RPM hard drive. It's going to have a 500 series video card from NVIDIA. It's going to have 1080p resolution, and it's going to have a 17-inch screen. If you don't want that, then don't buy this. Don't buy this laptop in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But could you change it if you wanted to?
Yeah, and I understand the whole take it or leave it mentality, but like I said, this is their foray into actually developing gaming laptops, and the community's going to want to see what they can do with it. Because, people they take suggestions. Every company should take suggestions from the community. Why do you think Counter-Strike has done so well? It's because of the community. That's why it's been such a lasting game for such a long time, because originally it's a mod developed from Half-Life. It has been modded to hell and back by the community, which allows me to go on, if I want to play Counter-Strike and I want to go shoot zombies, I can go play a zombie mod or something like that. And, that's what makes it last, is the ability to adapt and innovate, and not just like my G73. I can't really do much else with it. It's I can upgrade the RAM and that's about it, because I'm running with 4 gigs of RAM right now, because this is still the same as when I bought it from Newegg. But that's what I want to see. That's what I want to focus on, is what are the people going to bring out of this after it gets released. It looks promising, but we'll have to see from there.
Yeah, I think the main thing they want to do with this, though, is make it a true gaming laptop. Have it be portable, have it be lightweight, and still be able to play games like Battlefield 3, Dead Island. Every new game that's coming out using DirectX 11, they wanted to make sure players are able to play these games and not have to sacrifice, RAM or a video card to save some money and lose that experience. Which, to be honest, that's how innovation starts. You gotta, it's expensive, and that's how it began. It's gonna be expensive to get into it, but I guarantee it'll be well worth the money in the long run.
Yeah. One thing I did want to see, though, in terms of like innovation and everything, I want them to, and this is not now, this is like in the near future or whenever it becomes available, is the ability to upgrade different components of your laptop, and that's what I'd like to see. A laptop that's actually more of like, you start out with something really good, but as time goes on, PCs, there's always something faster out there. There's always something, and that's always been the main drawback with a gaming laptop, is it doesn't stay ahead of the curve for very long in terms of what games it can play, because there's always people out there trying to push it. Crytek, I'm looking at you.
And that's true. I mean, a laptop has never been really have the desktop feel so that you can swap out parts when something gets new. And like, I think the only thing that I would like to see you be able to do on a laptop to swap out would be RAM and video card, really. I mean, once a motherboard is in the laptop, I would find it kind of hard to swap it out with a new one, because when you swap out a new motherboard, you have to reinstall your OS, because the OS is basically imprinted on that motherboard. So so that's why I would see they wouldn't allow you to swap out things like that. But I mean, if you could swap out your processor, your RAM, and your video cards, I think that would be, a good innovation, and it would allow laptops to stay ahead of the curve, or at least be an option instead of buying a huge rig like desktops. So I think that's all we're going to really be talking about the Blade. I think it's a really good idea. I like what they're doing. It is a little bit pricey. It's $2,800, but if you think about it, all the things they put into it regarding performance, with 8 gigs, a 500 series video card, an i7, a really nice hard drive, 1080p LED backlit screen, I personally think it's worth the $2,800 if you want to go portable. So let's start moving on to games. Let's go to, I don't know, you guys want to talk about Counter-Strike Go? I guess we'll just start there.
All right. From what I've seen, it's basically bigger and better Counter-Strike. I noticed that they were talking about online stat tracking and everything like that, but, which will allow for when you're playing on official servers and everything like that for a more competitive side. I'm guessing like that right there, that whole mention of that was basically for the scrimming and professional side of Counter-Strike, because Counter-Strike's always been a big game that people want to play competitively, that people pay money to go to tournaments and watch these people play Counter-Strike. So the stat tracking and everything like that, because I constantly hear, oh, I'm so great at CS. I went pro and everything like that. And it was like, oh, why don't you just give me your Steam name and I can just look up your stats so they can speak for themselves instead of having to listen to your grizzled veteran war stories. I've been playing Counter-Strike for only about 5 years. I hopped on with Source and everything. I'd played the original Half-Life and everything, and I'd played Condition Zero over at my cousin's house and everything like that. And I found it really addictive, but I never really had a computer or anything that could play Source other than the GoldenEye maps that we had and the custom maps, which is why I was on that custom server all the time 5 years ago. Once again, like I said with the Razor, I'm excited to see what the community can do for Counter-Strike Go. Because it started out with a great platform. I was looking at some of the maps. But they look pretty cool, especially that one outside that. It looks like a hotel, or is it like a gas station? But I want to see what maps people can come up with, what game modes. Pretty sure all the classics will be making a return, like Zombie Mod and Rats and what else? Gun Game and everything like that.
Well, they've already released some maps. Some of the classic ones are going to be, transported over to Go, like Dust 2, Dust 1, Office, Train. So, there's still going to be some things from, 1.6 that went over to Source and now is going to be going over to Go as well. So we'll still have, some of the things we can recognize in the game, which will bring over some of the old school Counter-Strike players. So it might be a good transition.
Well, yeah, definitely. I just wanted to kind of clarify. A lot of people, when they first saw this, they were like, hey, look, it's a new Counter-Strike game. But everyone who even watches this and listens, it's having the understanding that it's not a new game. It's an updated version and a version of Counter-Strike that is for competitive, really more towards the competitive side. They're going to allow, mods to happen and things like that, like they've allowed in Source and 1.6, but it's going to be really heavy towards the scrimming and the tournament modes, and hoping that like huge LAN tournament leagues like MLG and stuff will pick it up and get Counter-Strike back in the professional gaming scene again.
As long as they fix those damn hitboxes.
Well, no, they've changed all that. That's the great thing, is they're changing all the hitboxes. The people who tested it or pre-alpha tested the game, where they had some pro CS players test it, they were very excited and very happy to see that they fixed hitboxes. They fixed how the game was broken in Source, to be honest. And, they brought all the old school maps, Train, Dust 2, Dust 1, all the old school maps, and they've actually fixed some of the older maps that, like Aztec and Dust 1, that had issues in the competitive scene. In the trailers that you see, you can see that they've changed the underpass in Dust 1 to, it's still an underpass, but now there's another passage on the right-hand side that allows you to go up to tunnels, on the outside of tunnels, and look over and see that guy that usually can op you across the way, and that can look into under tunnels. Now you can go up there and get him. Now little changes like that can really affect how the game plays, and if you keep reading updates and watching the actual video, you can see that they've added more weapons. They've added the gun grenade. Basically, it's like the one in Call of Duty, the distraction grenade, where you throw it and gunfire goes off. They've got now the Molotov cocktail, and they've added apparently a bunch of SMGs and shotguns now, and another light machine gun, which is nice to see. They've added some more guns, and they've actually made it to where each gun specializes in certain things. Like the SMGs specialize in close quarter combat. Assault rifles are good for medium range now, and machine guns are up close and personal. And they've tweaked it to these type of specs, so it's not, when you play the game, you're not using the same three weapons you've always been using. The Deagle, AK-47, and M4 now. You won't have to only use those, and those guns won't be the best anymore. It's now you'll be able to use, a TMP or a P90 now, and be able to actually make a difference for the team.
Well, in terms of I'm a long-time TMP lover. Where are they gonna add any weapon custom or player customization or anything like that, and is it going to be basically the jump in and play kind of thing? Everybody looks the same. Everybody's on the same the same turf, because you see that in some games these days where there's a lot of different customization and everything like that. And how is Counter-Strike going to try to stay current with the times, or are they going to stand by what they've been doing for a long time?
They're standing by. They want to keep their core Counter-Strike feel there. They don't want you to be they don't want to make their game like a Call of Duty or Battlefield. They want to make sure it's the old style, really skilled first-person shooters where you have to learn, which guns spread patterns or which way. They don't want you to, have an extra barrel or put a silencer on, let's say, an AK-47. They don't want you to customize everything like that, like you can do in Call of Duty and Battlefield. Mm-hmm. They want to stay to that core feel of Counter-Strike. They don't, which is why I'm excited for it. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's like the step child of Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike Source or whatever." But just because it has a graphical facelift, because it's using the new Source engine, it's using the one that Left 4 Dead and Portal 2 is built on. So they're updating it graphically so it pleases newer generation gamers like the Call of Duty fans and the Battlefield fans. But it's still going to make the hardcore Counter-Strike fans really enjoy the game because they really haven't changed the mechanics of the game. They've just added certain things that can change scrimming and strat thinking. Because, if you think they have the Molotovs now that do damage over time. So let's say you're playing Dust 2 and you're doing like a 5-man rush into tunnels into B. Well, if someone on the other team on CTs hear that, they can throw a Molotov in there, and so it's going to stop the T's from rushing in and allow, maybe the CTs at A to come into lower B tunnels and take them out. Yeah, so, doing those type of things is really going to change how people play Counter-Strike in general now, is knowing that you have things to distract the team and allow your members to move up and, flank them and just destroy the team now. I think it's going to be a lot harder on the Counter-Strike players to make them, they're going to have to think a lot deeper, a lot smarter, and they're going to have to outplay even harder than they had to in Source and 1.6.
Any thoughts, Nikki?
Nope.
It's like new Counter-Strike. Do you want?
I'll let you know when the game comes out. Only play it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. I just hope they do fix some of the issues that they've had with the games. The hitboxes were one of the biggest complaints in 1.6 and Source. I know they've been trying to fix that with Source right now with Counter-Strike Source Beta, which is like, it's the same game, but they test out, different aspects. They changed how hitboxes are in Counter-Strike Source Beta. They made it, instead of like a square, they made it now into a circle, and they don't have to lead players as much anymore. Now you can, fire in midair now, but your accuracy is not going to be perfect, or little things like that. Like certain guns you hold, like MP5s or Galils, now allow you to run a little bit faster than holding an AK or an M4. And, those little tweaks do help, and I do think they're really trying to fix what they kind of broke in Source. I just think it's a little too late for them to be doing that now.
Well, when you said built off the Left 4 Dead engine, I instantly got an image of some guy trying to go through the circular buy menu that I saw in one of the trailers, and he's trying to buy an M4, and then a tank just busts through the wall and beats his brains out.
Well, that is one thing I do like, is they went to a circular menu system. That system, from what I recall, because I haven't played 1.6 in a really long time, but that circular menu system was on the Xbox version of Counter-Strike 1.6, which I personally did enjoy. I liked it because I didn't have to press, B14, B43. I didn't have to memorize key bindings. I can just, use my mouse, press M for menu, and use my mouse to pick out my weapons really quick. I like that menu system a little bit better than the one we're using right now.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've run into spawn and there's still some guy in there. It's like, "Hi, I'm new here. I don't understand how this menu works."
Yeah, I think that was a main complaint for new players is, like, even Matt, I did a talk with him earlier, but when he first started playing, he honestly had no clue how to start playing the game. Like, he got thrown into a server, and then people were buying weapons in front of him, and he was like, "How do you do this?
What is this witchcraft?" Yeah,
like, he had no clue what was going on, and I had to tell him, "Hey, you gotta press B for buy menu, and then you use 1 and 4 for deagle," and, he was like, "Wow, I really like the circular menu that Counter-Strike Go is using, because all I have to do is, as soon as I spawn up and as soon as the round starts, I can just pick my weapons because the screen pops right in front of me." So I think that's going to really bring a lot of new players in and allow them, or any new players in, a lot easier to get into the game.
expanding on that whole new players thing, don't they have an actual a training mode that they're doing in here as well?
Yeah, they're doing a little training mode where you can play with, like, you can just play with bots, and it's like a tutorial mode in a sense, really. And I think that's really good. Do I think it's going to bring Call of Duty and Battlefield players in? No, I really don't think. I think it's just going to bring hardcore Counter-Strike players who've been playing Counter-Strike forever and who know of Counter-Strike, and it's just going to bring them in and allow them to play a newer version of Counter-Strike. I don't think it's going to bring in a lot of new players, to be honest, because everyone likes the Call of Duty and Battlefield playstyle. There's not a lot of players who really like hardcore skill-based shooters anymore, and it kind of sucks to see that, but it's just how the new generation of gamers are, to be honest.
Back in my day, I had to press B to buy my damn weapon. It was just given to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's things like that really, it makes me laugh when I go and play Call of Duty, and I'm like, oh, so I just press this button, I get all these weapon attachments? Sweet. Like, I don't have to think of
grab and go.
Yeah,
it's the fast food of gaming.
So I really don't have anything else to say other than I'm really excited. I'm glad they're doing a lot of editing to older maps and bringing a lot of older maps back in. That they're making it, they're modernizing it with stat tracking, I guess. But I think they're really pushing for getting this game back on MLG circuit and getting this game back to known, being a high known game. Because
it's like, why are you so good at Call of Duty? Why are you so good at Battlefield? I played Counter-Strike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, like, when I play games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, I do really well because I've been playing Counter-Strike, which is a pure skill-based shooter, and those games really don't take any skill. You don't have to know, bullet patterns or recoil timings and things like that. You can just literally go in, grab a gun, and start spraying and get hundreds of kills. I mean, I think those games were really taken away from the skill-based shooter. But, it makes money, and what can you do?
Pretty.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's all we're going to talk about with Counter-Strike Go right now. When we hear more news, we'll probably do another talk on it. So let's move on to a really underdogged game. Personally, Dead Island is one of the best zombie games I've ever played. I have nothing really bad. I mean, there's little things that I nitpick at, but the game overall is an A+ game. And I really think this game was underdogged when it first got released, and then they released that awesome trailer, or when it was talked about, but when they released that first trailer of the two parents saving their daughter and like the daughter falling out of the window, that grabbed my attention, and I wanted to know everything about this game.
Speaking of which, when you start out in the room in the hotel, go out and take a right instead of taking a left. And because I was going to explore the rooms, the first room you come in is actually the room from the trailer, and the mother and father are lying there on the floor with their hands around each other.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's the first thing I noticed, because I was watching a walkthrough, because I wasn't too sure about the game when it first came out. I was like, my first impressions was, oh man, another zombie game, I was so tired of zombie games, because they're all the same, and nothing has been as good as Left 4 Dead, and nothing has been as innovative and creative as Dead Rising, with, being able to use different weapons and combining stuff. So I was really hesitant on getting this game at first, but when I saw that first walkthrough, I saw like they actually incorporated those people from the trailer into the game. I had to play it. I had to get the game. I got Nikki the game, and we literally played for 2 days straight. We didn't stop playing, and we beat it. Like, I beat it in 20 hours just on the primary missions. I mean, it is one of the best zombie games I've honestly played.
Well, for me, I wanted to do the secondary side quest missions that they have in there, and so it took me a little while longer, but it was definitely worth it because it would have lasted a lot longer if I had done every single one. But it's definitely like a replayable game where you can play like there's 4 characters and all, so you can play different characters. Each of them has their weaknesses. Each of them has different strengths and weapons, types of weapons they use. So it's definitely different, and you can replay as different people. Yeah.
I play as the tank character because personally I love beating the absolute crap out of zombies, because there's been so many times I've been watching zombie movies and stuff like that, and it's like the girl falls down or whatever and the zombie comes in and nom nom. It's like, why don't you just freaking kick it in the head or whatever like that? And zombies, it definitely allows you to it reminds me a lot of what people would actually do in that sort of situation, and not how of course there's the Hollywood aspect of it, like go for the head and everything like that. But, the strict fact of you like trying to survive, grabbing gas thrown in the back of your truck and then tearing through hell and high water to try to get back to whoever needs said gas to power some generator so they can try to call for help or anything like that. I also love the fact that it's more melee based, because you see a lot of zombie games out there. It's like, shoot them in the head, shoot them in the head, guns, guns, guns. That, Left 4 Dead, the first one, all about guns. The second one, they were like, oh yeah, who wants to go at zombies with a chainsaw? Well, everybody does. It's like, me personally, I was happy that they have a shovel, because I play Fallout 3. I play it with a shovel, the punga fruit shovel that you grab from Point Lookout, and beat the crap out of everything. But that's what sold it for me, is that Fist of the Dead Star video that I showed you, and the fact that it's more melee based, and you could just walk around basically kung fuing zombies to death. And it's really rewarding when you just sit there and for your friends act like it's a scene out of a bad mugging and just beat the crap out of a zombie.
Right, and the good thing about it is, like you said, it's more melee based, but also the melee weapons that you have and that you've picked up, you can mod them based off of blueprints that you've picked up throughout the game. So you can have like a machete, but it can also be rigged wires, and it can be a shock machete, which has a chance of setting a zombie with shock and does even more damage too.
Yeah, because that's how I like my zombies. I like them toasty.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with Nikki and you, Duncan. But let's go back to what Duncan was saying, is when you look at Hollywood, or you look at how the first Left 4 Dead, it was all about guns, 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 shooting people in the head and things like that. In this, it seems like it's how a group of people would really act if a zombie breakout happened. People are going to be confused, like, what the hell is happening? Try to get away from this type of thing by getting into a safe area, a safe house, and then trying to get in contact with people on the outside to figure out what's going on. And so I really like how they made the player feel like that, and then having to go out and find things to defend yourself with other than guns, because I guarantee the first thing you're going to think about if a zombie breakout happens is not to get a gun, but how to defeat them, or what the hell can I just use anything and beat the hell out of them and still be able to kill them.
Everyone starts implementing their zombie plans that they've been thinking about since they saw Dawn of the Dead.
So yeah, I'm glad that you could, like, the first thing you do is you get out of a hotel that you're staying in overnight, and you find a guy getting eaten, and you have to save him by grabbing a paddle, a boat paddle, and just beating the shit out of all the zombies to save him. I mean, that was like a really good intro, and I think really got players hooked right away. Was, hey, I'm not going to be using guns in this game. I'm going to be using whatever's around me to defend myself.
Yeah.
Right. And also, it's the fact that the people who are locked up in a room with each other, they want you to go out and help them and do stuff with them, do stuff for them. Like, one person wanted to go get a necklace, another person wanted you to go find their wife, like put posters up throughout the town to go make sure if his wife saw the posters that she would know that he's alive and where to find him. So it's kind of like a real life situation.
Yeah, some people be able to adapt, and then some people won't. But I just got to the town, so I spent at least 3 or 4 hours just running around the entire first area, just jump kicking zombies downstairs and stuff like that, and finding, different weapons and everything, and finding everything I possibly could. And there's still some areas that I missed when I went back and I played with my friends, and that is what really shines in this game, is the playing with your friends, and how your friends can pop in and pop out like that and not affect the gameplay at all. Like, I haven't seen that in many other games, like, where, it kind of happens in Left 4 Dead and everything like that, but it's like Borderlands, the point that you can play it by yourself, and it is manageable, but it is so much sweeter when you get 4 of your friends coming in, especially if all 4 of them are the big burly black dude who, instead of saying hi with a knife or anything like that, he will beat you to death with his bare fists, and then say how big that bitch was, or some cheesy line like that. The game it takes itself seriously sometimes, and then there's just some points where it's just like extremely hilarious. It's like I'm kicking zombies downstairs, and it is what you make of it. That's what I really like from this game. Say other zombie games like Dead Rising or anything like that, it's kind of the first time you play through it, it's, oh God, I'm just trying to survive and get the hang of this and everything like that. And then afterwards, you can run around with the freaking Mega Man tennis ball launcher or whatever and jump on zombies' heads and stuff like that, and you're not really worried. But that's after you go through and beat the crap out of the game and to the point where you're actually comfortable. Dead Island is something you just pick up and you're like, hey, I'm just going to run around with my fists. And, it works. The game adapts to the way you play.
Yeah, I definitely like how what do you mean by adapt is like I like when I level up, or when I leveled up in the game, that the zombies leveled up with me and their difficulty and their AI got smarter, at least from what I was feeling is the AI got really smart when I got to level 40 before I beat the game, and the AI, or 42, and it was the AI was so smart and they dealt so much damage, and like I couldn't go with some of my measly weapons that only did like 800 damage and cut someone's arm off anymore. I had to go find better weapons then and craft better weapons to be able to cut their arms off, their legs off, and actually complete the game successfully. And I did what I usually do with every game I play, is I play the first time through, I play super seriously and super serial. And I go around and I just beat the primary quest, and I see how long it takes, because a lot of players aren't going to get caught up with the secondary quests right away. I mean, they'll probably do a few while they're playing, but they're not going to go and do every single secondary quest. So that's kind of how I played. I played as someone just wanting to get the game done to see how long it was. And honestly, 18 hours, 20 hours is plenty fine for a single player. Plus replayability, because like Nikki said, each character had their own skill tree, their own pros and cons with each character. I started out with the Asian woman. I don't know her name. I think it was Yan or something like that. And she was good with swords and sharp objects. And so I was like, playing through the game, I used just sharp objects. And then there were some times where I was like, man, I really wish I could be the black guy right now to be able to, mod this hammer or this bat to be awesome. I think I made at the very end the axe, the Phoenix axe, which is like this axe that's just completely engulfed in flames. And literally, it took me till the second playthrough to get all the items I needed to actually make that axe. So, that was really nice too, is I couldn't make everything from the blueprints the first playthrough, because I was, using some of the items I got to make some of the smaller ones to get me by. But, once I beat the first playthrough, all I did was picked up items, saved everything to make the big items, and I used the bigger black guy because I felt like you used a lot more blunt weapons and sharp weapons personally. And then after I played with the black guy, then I was like, okay, now I'm just going to play with any of them, because I know how to play the game, but now I just want to go around and have some fun. And I used the white guy and used all the throwing objects, and that was hysterical, being able to go in my rage mode and throw like 1,000 knives at people constantly.
Yeah, I really like the fact that it doesn't get old. Like, there's always something to do, and especially the fact that they added a driving mechanic to a zombie RPG. Like, I've never really seen much about driving in terms, unless it's like Dead Rising or anything like that. And then the car breaks down after you like run over 4 or 5 zombies. And this one, you're constantly just boom, 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 hitting them. It's like it's a bad night on a country road. There's deer everywhere. And you just plow through them. And then when you get that armored car, it's on. But I also like the fact that, your friends can sit there and wait by the car while you go off and you do something or anything like that. And like you were saying, I do like the fact that all of the zombies, they level up with you. Because, in a real zombie apocalypse, you're not gonna be like the master zombie slayer even after surviving for so long and everything. You're just gonna know what to do, and you're always gonna be trying to find new weapons and stuff like that. And I just like the way that the game is just set up to the point where it's like you can't face everything down alone and win. Sometimes you got to run, especially when those freaking rammers or whatever come at, hell and high water to come and try and kill you.
About the size of the map, like when you start playing, you realize how big the game actually is and how big the map is. But then when you're done, you're kind of disappointed that there isn't more, and then there's not more that you can explore, and you want it to be bigger. So I think that's also a good sign that the game is doing pretty good, and it's a pretty good game.
I wonder what they're going to try to do for a sequel. I mean, like, it kind of, this one reminded me a lot of Far Cry 2, basically, on, in a Far Cry 1 setting with zombies instead of mutated soldiers and, stuff like that. In terms of, like, how everything's really visceral. You open doors, your hand comes out, or you're fighting off a zombie, you're actually punching them in the face. And it just brings it that closer to the player's experience of like, oh god, I'm getting into the shit right now. My hands are covered in zombie blood, and I'm beating the crap out of this zombie that I've knocked down because, this motherfucker almost killed me, and I don't want to lose so much money from this, It's like you actually get emotionally connected into the game where you're pounding a zombie's face and it's like, yeah, you take that, you undead scum motherfucker. You don't really get that as much in like Dead Rising or anything like that, because it's all like third person. Left 4 Dead touched on it a bit, but you get in a situation where you're trying to fight your way out, like say if a charger or anything like that grabs you, you can't get out of it. And of course it emphasizes the emphasis on teamwork.
Right, and like you were saying, you get so into it, and part of the game is where they do slow motion, like when you cut off the head or is you finally like kill one of them. You get so into it, and like when that slow motion scene does happen, you just feel so much victory in yourself. It's like the slow motion is just perfect.
Yeah, I just got an image of Nikki just holding like a bloodstained baseball bat, It's like broken in 5 places and stuff like that. It's like, it's the last time you try to grab me from behind.
Oh my god.
Well, I want to know what from each of you. What is the worst area? Like, what is the area that pissed you off the most?
Well, seeing how I haven't been too far in the game, so no spoilers, please. The city right now is actually pretty hard, like, because, I understand with the first area it was more of a tutorial thing, but there are so many, like, enemies, and you can get lost in the city, like, it's like, where's that quest I was going to do again? I just saw some zombies down this island, and I just unlocked the tackle ability for my tank character, so I just run through and bowl zombies over, and, sooner or later I realize, oh crap, I'm nowhere near where I should be right now. And then, you gotta fight your way out of the city. But the most frustrating part is like when you're like a character like me who doesn't have many weapon proficiency, and then one of those freaking suiciders come out of nowhere. And though I did find a really good tactic for that, you run and jump kick on them and then run away, and they explode while they're lying there on the ground. But yeah, that would be the most frustrating part for me so far.
The most frustrating part for me is definitely the sewers, because you're in such a tight space, and when you're in the city and you have, those big tank-looking guys in the strap-in suits or whatever, you can run past them or run around them, but when you're in the sewer, you pretty much have to, like, go right up to them in order to get past them. So I think that's the part that frustrates me the most, just because it's such tight quarters, and plus you've got all the steam valves, and you have to turn them off or else you'll get hurt. But that can also work to your benefit as well if you use it right.
Yeah, I definitely have to say it seems like how they laid out the levels. There's no spoilers here for you, Duncan, but like the first area, which was the beach area, it was scattered with zombies. It wasn't like the city and the slums where they're like everywhere. In every corner there's like 5 or 6 zombies, and so you're screwed. Like you have to fight most of the time when you're in the city. But in the sewers and in the beach area, they're scattered. There's not a lot of them, but when you get in contact with them, like in the sewers, you have to fight them because there's not a lot of wiggle room to get around them. And then when you get to the jail, and there's the jail and I believe like a warehouse scene or something. I forget there's 2 other levels, but they're kind of like then the city. Like those next 2 levels, like the city, where they're just everywhere, and you have to fight most of them. And they all the areas have their own. I think they're all awesome levels, and they all have the styles where it's a lot of close quarters, a lot of scattered around or they're just everywhere. But I'd have to personally say the most frustrating one for me would be the city, because yeah, you could run away from the guys that are strapped in those coats, the insane coats is what I call them. But most of the time, there's like all the fast running zombies that like never stop following you. There's so many of them that like I felt like I was constantly battling and I was constantly having to repair my weapons. I was dying a ton, man. I died so many times in the city. But I mean, that's what I really liked about this game, is it wasn't easy. Like, the game itself was really hard. Even playing, I don't even know if there was difficulty. I just always jumped in. But the difficulty of the game was extremely dynamic and really hard throughout the entire game.
Yeah, it comes up with new ways to challenge you and everything. Oh, by the way, thugs and infected, fuck them. Like, seriously. Thugs, because you come up, you're beating the crap out of these slow zombies, and then you see one that's just a little bit taller than the others, and like, oh, I'm just gonna barrel over this guy. And it's like, oh no, my stamina is, basically I spent, my entire life running in a hamster wheel, and you can't take me down that easily. And that's one of those thugs that I always have to run away from them. Because when I'm playing by myself, or if I'm playing with like one or two friends, but those infected, they freaking run so fast and they're on you in seconds. Like, they don't grab you like the other zombies do or anything like that, but they basically, it's like somebody that you pissed off for the 20th time in Call of Duty. They're about to get their airstrike, and then you just freaking stand behind them and cook a grenade or something like that. Kind of nerd rage just coming at you in the city, like from every angle. It's just like, hell no, screw this.
Well, you're in for a treat in the jail then.
Oh.
Because that's all there is in the jail is infected, the thugs, and the guys that are in the city. That's all you fight. Like, there's no regular zombies. So my recommendation for you for thugs is throw stuff at them. That's what I did, because yeah, I couldn't get close to them because they would hit me and I would just fall. And so what I was doing was I was taking my sharp objects and I was cutting their arms off, or they're getting, if you hit them in the legs, they kneel down and allows you to hit them a couple times before they come back up. So that's how I defeated thugs, was either throwing them or taking them out at the legs first. So overall, what do you guys give this game?
Well, due to some technical issues and everything like that, and the fact that like I personally, even though the dynamic difficulty is really awesome and everything like that, sometimes you just get overwhelmed and frustrated, and the game like really punishes you for dying. It's not like Borderlands where you lose maybe like $1,000 or whatever like that. But once you get to like the higher levels, my friends say like the worst thing is like, especially when you throw a weapon and then you lose it because you get killed by a bunch of those infected and everything. I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
I'd probably give it 7.75 out of 10.
Why are you giving it that? Are you not like it?
Like you saw when I was playing the game, there were a few glitches. Like, I glitched through the wall during a mission, so I couldn't get out of it, and I couldn't talk to the guy to get the side quest or whatever. So, I mean, there were a few things, and like I said, I would have liked it to have been a little bit bigger or more areas to explore. So, I mean, it was a good game, but yeah.
She's doing it because you love it so much.
Do you like it though? Do you think it's the best or the better zombie game you've played than from Left 4 Dead 2?
Definitely. Like, I would give the Left 4 Dead series probably like a 6 or a 5.
And before Shitstorm.
Better.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the better zombie games I've ever played, because I've played a lot. I mean, I've played, all the Left 4 Deads. I've played Dead Rising, which introduced being able to combine weapons and use those newer weapons to your advantage. And then I played Killing Floor, which was, a really cheap, but it had really good aspects of the zombie style in it. So playing all those and then seeing this game combine much of and almost all of those aspects, I think they did a really good job. I agree with Nikki. If they would have made some of the island bigger or allowed you to, even there was times where I went out to the ocean and I just like died. It'd been really cool if they allowed me to drown and die, like fall to the end and get eaten by a shark or something. But those little, like I said, little things I'm nitpicking at, I think I'd give this game an easy 8.5, 9 out of 10. I mean, it's day one release. I had bugs, but every game's gonna have bugs day one release. Yeah. And, I don't know. I haven't really checked up if they've really fixed anything. But besides some of the few glitches like I've had where I threw all my awesome weapons, I had all purple weapons, all modded and everything. Like they did like I think like 1,200 damage on all of them. I threw them at the Suicider, and it glitched to where they were going through the Suicider and outside the door. And so I lost all my weapons because he blew up right in front of me. Like, that really pissed me off. And, like, I stopped for, like, 2 hours playing because I couldn't believe I just wasted all that time getting all those purple weapons and modding them out. But other than that, I mean, those things like that, I'm pretty sure they're going to fix. But I really am hoping for a sequel because if they do it, like, at a different scenario, like a different island, and, like, retell a different story, I think that would be really cool.
And, like, one of the things that made me pretty mad is the save point. You can't save to where you left off. You would have to pause the game, alt-tab, and have it running in the background. Otherwise, you would restart at your last checkpoint, which you could have done so much more after that checkpoint, and it just didn't save, and you can't go back to it by exiting out the game.
Yeah, no quick save feature. That was kind of an irk for me. It does push you to do more quests and stuff like that, but sometimes, like me, I don't have as much time as I used to have playing video games anymore like that. Sometimes I just gotta go, and I've got some really good weapons or something that I've acquired from a zombie that I've killed or anything like that, but I don't get to keep them, and I don't see them again with the exact same stats or anything like that.
Right.
So, but other than that, like, it's a great game. All there is like the small little issues and everything like that. But it rarely detracts from what turns out to be a very enjoyable beat the shit out of a zombie's face experience.
All right, well, that will wrap up the 4th episode of TSM Talk. I again want to thank Nikki and Duncan for coming on today and doing the show with me. Again, like I said in my intro, I am back and I'll be doing one of these episodes every week, so look out for that on my channel. Till next time, guys, it's Hicks. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.